Hello, hello, and welcome back to what is now a very, very wet Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series here for Split Green at the Nurburgring. My name is Alexis Bowen, and joining me for Split Green is the ever wonderful Jean-Pierre Sinikas. How are you, Peach?
I am very well, thank you. I haven't been called ever wonderful in quite a long time, so that's quite a nice thing to hear. And speaking of wonderful, these weather conditions certainly are pretty nice to see. A wet qualifying session with heavier rain in 10 minutes, so I think it's a case of getting that lap in as quickly as possible, and it's a very, very tricky lap to put a proper a very tricky track to put a proper lap together in the dry, and when you add some moisture to that, it just increases the difficulty exponentially.
Absolutely, it's a very, very difficult circuit, as you said. Already add a bit of moisture, and you have what I like to call spice, to say the least.
Yeah, for sure, and it's definitely it's a very tricky track to follow closely and very hard to overtake. But with the added wetness, it certainly will create a few more opportunities for overtaking. We saw in Split Yellow there was a little bit of overtaking, but not a particularly exciting race in terms of side by side after things sort of settled down a little bit. So hopefully the start of the race is wet, because I mean, we all know Nurburgring T1 is a bit of a legend in itself.
Yeah, it's a very, very tight right-hander in the stadium section that you go through, or arena section, I suppose you could call it, through 2, 3, 4, can get very, very congested very, very quick. So I'd say safety car risk is high as we watch Taufik now go into turn 1 at the Okama curve. Much more of a hairpin than just a simple curve. And now into the Mercedes arena. Just going to be trying to get as good of a lap in as possible in these conditions. I mean, with the rain increasing, as you said, we'll need to get some good lap times on the board early, but it's not always easy to go out in these conditions and straight away be quick, especially since the tires will typically need a lap or two to get in the window.
Yeah, just looking at his tire pressures, I think he may have misjudged them ever so slightly. They're a little bit over at the moment. But it's not over by that much that it'll really be affecting his lap times. And yeah, gonna be interesting. I haven't done any wet running this week, so don't really have a reference of pace to be expected, but we normally add about 10 seconds to a lap time. So I guess anything around the sort of 203, 204 mark will be roughly what we're looking at as he comes through the Schumacher S. Such an epic set of corners, and then up into Kumo curve. Nice and tight, not really wanting to put the wheels on too much of that AstroTurf on the inside there. Comes through bit curve. Very tricky to get on the power here, and you don't want to get on the painted stuff on the exit there. It will cost you a little bit of time engaging the TC when it's not really advantageous, and he has 3 more corners to contend. 2 of them are in the form of a very, very tricky chicane. Avoids most of the curve there. That's a pretty clean run through there. A little bit of a wiggle on the exit. And nice and tidy on the brakes. Keeps it nice and tight. Can he get a clean exit here? That seemed like a pretty clean lap. Not sure if it was fast, but it was a good lap. 2025. So we have our benchmark set, and we see Fercolini there 6 tenths down. So who will be the first to answer the questions?
Well, here is Dylan Smith in the Kit Caterpillar Mustang going through the NGK chicane now, avoiding all the curves possible, but he has gone around, has he? Oh, he nearly saved it, but manages to keep it out of the wall, so he'll be able to continue on, but that lap will be in the bin, unfortunately, for Dylan Smith, as we now look on board with Austin in the 1-2-1. Coming up to the NGK chicane towards the end of their lap. Keeping it nice and tidy through there, not wanting to get the car too loose. And the Porsche can do Porsche things, especially in these sorts of conditions. Now around the final corner, Coca-Cola curve coming up to the line now. The lap time for Austin is a 2:05.1, so that's 2.5 seconds off the benchmark set by Taufik. Meanwhile, Brad Cook is only 5 thousandths off of the benchmark set by Taufik. It's very, very tight.
That's a huge gap between the top two there. I'm not sure if Brad Cook will be able to sort of close that gap a little bit as we see him 3/10 up here going through the Schumacher S's. He was a bit more up coming into the hairpin and then lost a bit of it on the exit. Regained some of that now, and as he comes through Kumo Curve into, what is the next one? Bit Curve, 5/10 up now. I'm assuming, or at least hoping for Taufik's sake, that he is also improving by a similar amount, because this seems to be a very, very good lap from Brad Cook. We've seen in sprint chat and in general chat quite a few people saying the Mustang isn't that good in the wet, blah blah blah, but to be honest, based on what we've seen, especially last week at Hungary, it doesn't seem particularly bad, although he did have a very poor run through the chicane there and absolutely bottled the end of that lap.
Yeah, the chicane was awful, and unfortunately the Coca-Cola curve wasn't much better. That half a second, gone in a flash, and now he has to go again, still just 5 thousandths off of the provisional pole time, currently set by Moin Taufik. Here is Rando in the 11 car, sitting there in P15 at the moment. Nearly 1.5 seconds up, goes very, very wide through the Coca-Cola curve. They'll lose a bit of time on the exit, but Rando now up to the line, moves up into P11, so 1.5 seconds down now. And we have a promotion from AM to Pro-Am here. Jasmine's been given a little cheeky promotion late on in the season.
I think we can all agree that that is fairly well deserved based on his performances so far.
So is Pascal Armstrong, which is good to see.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen Armstrong in the practice server quite a bit, and he was doing some very impressive, certainly not AM level lap times. So it is good to see him and Jusman get those little pushes up to the appropriate class. As he comes around the final corner, moves up to P11. So it looks as though there's a big field spread from about P10 down. And the top 10 are all very close together. You see Brad Cook here. He's on another good lap again, coming in to Kumo Curve, following through to Bit Curve. Can he make it stick through the chicane this time? He has a bit of a poor run through Bit Curve, but not a terrible exit. You can see him regaining some of that time. And now coming down the knot straight through Advanbogen. And can he get a better run through the NGK chicane this time around? There's not a lot of time remaining in qualifying. You want to be getting your best laps together. He must have absolutely nailed the chicane on his best lap, as he had a decent run through there and still lost time. But is into the Coca-Cola curve. Taufik has improved to a 2:02.5, which is not a lot. Cook is going to improve by more. And he will be taking pole position by 1/10. And we see McAdam in the Bentley there has popped up into P3 as well. Rachuti he's way up, 6/10. Can he get a good exit? Loses a little bit on the exit. Will he get deltaed by ACC? He does not. He takes pole position with a 2:02.345. That is 2/100ths clear of Brad Cook.
It's getting very, very tight at the top. Ben Wittner goes up into P4. Just under 3/10 away, and I think he's pulling it in, so that could very well be it for Wittner's chances. Here is Pascal Armstrong, fresh off the promotion to the Pro-Am class. About a second delta improvement up to P14, 1.3 seconds off, so a lot of spread further down from about Rando down, in fact just anywhere behind Pascal Armstrong, but yeah, up the top, it's getting very, very tight. Here is McAdam, currently P7, but only 4/10 away from provisional pole. And right now, he's 2/10 up halfway through the lap. So far... Oh, that's a big drift, but he's managed to keep it together. Has he? Oh, just about, but he's lost the time. Now through the Schumacher S as he goes. He's going to try and gain a little bit, but I think if he wants to get that pole position, he's going to have to give it one more go. And interestingly, rain ending in 30 minutes. I'm not sure where the race is on the same day as qualifying, but if so, that's going to make the track conditions earlier on quite unpredictable, I would say.
So Taufik had noticed that he was going to run out of fuel, so he boxed it, and he's exiting pit lane with 2 minutes remaining. This is going to be very interesting to see if he makes it
I
around
don't
for
think
another
he's
lap.
making it. I don't
I
think he's
don't
making
think
it.
so, no. But we see Benjamin Hignett here. He is getting caught up behind a slower car, and that is not ideal. We saw last week he was absolutely dominant in qualifying, absolutely obliterated the rest of the field, and then unfortunately got stuck behind Brad Cook during the race. But he is up by enough to get pole position here. Hopefully the Ferrari ahead of him can get a good run through the chicane and not cost Hignett too much. He is so close to him, but he hasn't lost time through there. Can he maintain it going through the final corner? He gains a little bit on the entry, loses some of it on the exit, but still overall a net gain. That's going to be enough for pole position even after Brad Cook improved, and that's a mighty lap from Benjamin Hignett there.
Yeah, that is a beautiful lap from Ben Hignett, as we now see Brad Cook, who has been dethroned. He is on his last hot lap of this session, and he needs to find another 10th in the second half of this lap if he wants any chance of taking back that pole position slot. He goes very, very deep into the Dunlop curve, but manages to get a decent exit, but it's a net loss, really. He now needs to find another 2/10. It's going to be tricky for Cook, but he has found a fair bit through Schumacher S. It's just time that he's lost somewhere, found it somewhere else. Now, Kumo curve into the bit curve. Takes a late apex, trying to maximize the exit where possible, and it's going to be very, very tight, you know. If his run through the NGK chicane is good enough, he might be able to just snag that pole position away from Benjamin Hignett right at the last. But he's gone very, very deep. Can he pull it up? Yes, he can. But he's overall lost time on the exit. This has to be an absolute perfect Coca-Cola curve. And it doesn't look like it's going to be that. So P2 will be the best it gets for Brad Cook.
Yeah, and Taufik missed the line by a second that he didn't make it for
Ooh.
one more lap. So that is very unlucky for him. See Graham Hill there invalidating his lap. That's the end of his quali. So I know Cook didn't improve enough to take pole away from Hignett there, but Hignett will be getting flashbacks to last week when he also started next to Cook after out-qualifying him convincingly. And we all know how that turned out. So hopefully he can get a better run down to T1 this time around. But before that has to happen, Pascal Armstrong here is improving by about a tenth and a half. Lost a little bit there. Still has to navigate the chicane one more time.
Nope.
Carries way too much speed in and bins off the lap. I think we have a couple more cars on valid laps. Austin is one of them. He is currently down. Barker is one of them. He is currently way, way down. So I don't think we'll see anybody improve. That is Taufik. I think he's just doing a lap out of frustration now. But nobody else is on a valid lap, I don't think.
He
Although
did. It
it's
looks
not
like he
showing
did
the
make the
flag though,
line.
but
Yeah, he made the line.
no, but on his stream it is showing that he's finished, I think.
Well,
Strange one.
he's going for it, so I don't think he really has finished. We'll see what it's like, but he's lost time, so I don't think it's going to matter. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that lap actually counted because it didn't cross over right away.
That's an interesting one, but anyway,
And
there
we
is
still
our
have
grid.
rain.
It is still very, very wet. Oh, less rain in 10 minutes and then no rain in 30. So that is certainly
Ooh.
going to be an exciting opening stanza. But to confirm your grid here today for Split Green in the Simrigs Sprint Series here in Octane Online Racing, we do have none other than Benjamin Hignett in P1 in that 471 Mosaic looking Monster Energy Pit Viper Ferrari, followed by Brad Cook in the Chocolat livery, followed by Stefano Ricciuti. Great performance from him in the Lamborghini, putting it in P3, followed by David Barker, our second Ferrari on the grid, I should say. Taufik here in P5, he'll be a little bit disappointed with that, but be looking to move forward. Wintener, he'll be fairly happy with that based on how his season has been going. And then Weatherburn in our first Mustang here, a good performance from him. McAdam, we saw him up near the pointy end before people started improving, and he just couldn't improve enough to match up. Tim Purcell here in P9 in another very brightly colored Ferrari, followed by Graham Hill in a slightly more sedate looking Ferrari, and then the very famous 844 Porsche of Damiano Thurcolini, followed by our lead Pro-Am driver, freshly upgraded to Pro-Am and already leading the class, Dylan King. We saw him have a big incident earlier in the qualifying there, but he managed to put it together. Pascal Armstrong in P3 in class, very good performance from him. Rando in the Aston Martin there in P15, followed by the Kit Caterpillar Dylan Smith Mustang P16 and P3 in class. Dan Foxtrot in another very, very brightly colored Ferrari in P17, followed by John Foster in a pretty boring looking McLaren and our lead AM driver, followed by Sam Austin, P2 in class. And then J-Rad, he'll be a little bit disappointed with that performance. He would have been wanting to be closer to the lead of the Pro-Am field. Then we have Mohammed Zikri in P21, followed by Dale Lawson in a very nicely liveried Porsche there. Jeff Beaton in a very nice, pretty boring McLaren there, but it looks nice. And then that beautiful Springbok livery there on Symes' car, and followed finally by Xining Chan in a bit of a budget livery there. It looks like it's the wrong livery loaded, but yeah, this is going to be very fascinating.
Most definitely. It's going to really change up the strategies here in this race, and a wet to dry race is one of those things that you always enjoy as a spectator and also as us commentators. But we'll be getting underway with a formation lap very, very soon. Benjamin Hignett starting from pole position. As you said earlier, we'll be hoping he gets a much better start than he did at the Hungaroring last time out. While Brad Cook will be wanting to get much the same start that he got last time out to snag the win pretty much from turn 1, lap 1. So we now look at some drivers' standings for you. We have in the Pro class still Brad Cook leading the way, 151 points clear of Moyen Taufik, then Benjamin Hignett 15 points behind him. Graham Hill there in 4th, up 2 positions, and then Jacob Wellerburn, who I believe missed out last week, is now down to 5th. In the silver class, it is Tim Purcell leading the way from Damiano Turcolini, who jumps up to 2nd ahead of Dylan Smith, then Jared King and Danny Vu. Pro-Am class has seen a few changes with the introduction of the former AM class drivers, but John Carter still leads the way, now from Ahmed Jasmine, 93 points clear, then Dylan King, the also freshly promoted Alex Pascal Armstrong, and John Rad. And then in the AM class, plenty more changes too, with Sam Austin now leading the way from Zenon Chang, Tristan Digby, John Foster, and George Symes.
Yeah, some interesting battles throughout the classes there. That is such a nice looking livery. That is what you call a world champion livery.
Yes, yes. Definitely no bias in the commentary box for the Springboks Loop. But I will say, as much as I'm not biased in any way towards this livery, it is beautiful.
Yeah, and we just happen to actually be good at rugby for the last couple of years, so that's a benefit. Yeah. It's that sport that you guys don't really care about anymore, so I'm not gonna bore the rest of Australia.
What is that? What is that? What is it? Never heard of it.
Yeah, no, it's I'm sure you would have cared about it if you were still good at it. But anyway, we digress. We are about to go racing. This is going to be interesting. It's 20 degrees ambient and 25 tracks, so it's only a 24 class field. Oh, as Weatherburn misjudges his braking ever so slightly there. So the track is not going to dry out all that quick. So you'd want to be fueling for probably, I would hazard a guess and say about 30 minutes or so to start this race, and then jump on to the dry tires once things go greasy. As Vintner there did a bit of a back to the future moment and just disappeared ever so slightly, but he is now back and looks to be fairly stable in terms of his connection as they come through the NGK chicane into the final corner. Would you mind taking us away for split green, Alexis?
I'd be more than happy to. So it will be Hignett from Cook, then Rashuti, Barker, Taufik, Vintner, McAdam, Weatherburn, Purcell, and Hill, your top 10. We've gotten hour and 15 minutes here the Nurburgring. The rain will be ending in 10 minutes. Then we are underway, and it looks to have been a pretty solid start from the front two there in Cook and Hignett. Looks like Cook might be getting away with the superior straight line speed of the Mustang, but Hignett is not going to let him have it. He goes very, very deep to try and hold on to turn one, and now Rashuti is going to try and go around the outside of Hignett as he's gone very, very deep and conceded the lead again to Cook. Rashuti can't quite get it done on Hignett on this occasion, but it is double disaster for Hignett as he's lost the position to Cook 2 weeks in a row, but Cook's had to defend, and now Hignett's got the run out of turn 4, but he can't do anything with it going down towards turn 5. So Cook once again the superior of the starters, and he leads Hignett. Then Rashuti or Hicks go a little bit wide, opens the door just slightly for Rashuti. We can't do anything about it. Then behind Rashuti it is, believe, Barker, then Taufik, Vintner, McAdam. Hold on, it'll just update in a minute. They're just going through the first leg split now. There we go. So it's Cook from Hignett, Rashuti, Barker, Taufik, Weatherburn, McAdam, Vintner, Purcell, and Jasmine, your top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, Hignett is all over the back of Cook here. He's certainly looking very racy, but as you said, 2 weeks in a row, the nightmare came true, and he wasn't able to defend into turn 1. He certainly tried this time. He absolutely sent it and just couldn't quite get it slowed down, and a beautifully timed cut back there from Brad Cook to get into the lead of the race. Rashuti certainly tried his best to make do when the opportunities were there, but well defended from Hignett, and it looks as though Cook has finally sort of settled it down now, and it doesn't have a Hignett up his chuff anymore. Taufik is very close to the back of Barker, and we see a replay here of lap 1. I think that is Rando, if I'm not mistaken. They go through turn 1 fairly clean. What is happening into turn 2? A very tricky corner at the best of times. Oh,
just a slight tap.
That's Dan Foxtrot, just with a little left tap there, just introducing himself. And we see, it looks like Graham Hill, I think, dying at a final corner there just before we cut the replay, but we are currently watching Damiano Thurcolini go side by side with Purcell, going side to side with Purcell, but everybody survives. Then he gets a little bit of a left tap from the back from Graham Hill as well. Everybody survived, and I think we've lost Graham Hill towards the back of the field there.
Yes, and there was another yellow flag in the turn 1 for the number 20 of Alex Pascal Armstrong, the freshly promoted Alex Pascal Armstrong. So that's unfortunate for him. And yes, I believe that was great. Zenin Chang at the back in the number 30. As here we see what happened to Armstrong going side by side with Phil Rando into turn 1. Is it going to be a bit of a tap from the McLaren behind? Yes, it is. That's the 23 of John Rad. Oh, that's going to be a big slap on the wrist, I think.
We see in chat JC saying Lando Hignett. That is a ouch, is all I'll say to that.
Yeah, you would have thought Hignett would have been driving a McLaren, not a Ferrari.
Yeah, not a very inaccurate description, I would say. But yeah, Rashuti here keeping Hignett very nice and honest at the moment. And I'm wondering, I know the Ferrari can make it quite comfortably to the end on fuel. I think the Mustang might be able in these mixed conditions, although it's not going to be wet for that long, so might still be tight, but I'm not sure on the Lamborghini's fuel usage, but I suspect that it might be able to make it to the end as well quite comfortably. So will be interesting to see. I know the Bentley can make it, and I think the BMW can make it. So it's really the Mustang and the Macca are the two cars, and the Lexus, to be honest, that struggle a little bit to make the 75 minutes in dry conditions. But of course, use a little bit less fuel in these wet conditions as McAdam and Weatherburn go side by side towards turn 1. It's very late on the brakes from McAdam. Can he keep it side by side? No. Weatherburn chops the nose off beautifully there and gets the inside line into turn 2 and remains in P6 for now. And now Vintner has decided he also wants a little bite of this cookie. Will Weatherburn be able to weather the storm as he is under all sorts of pressure at the moment? That pun wasn't even intended.
Yes, oh, there's now McAdam going to the outside of turn 5. This is going to be very tight, but he can break very, very late, but that's too late. And has he kept it on the track? Just about. And manages to keep ahead of Wittner for the moment, but it's great defending from Jacob Weatherburn so far. Doing very nicely. You can see that he moved to the inside nice and early on the start-finish straight and used the power advantage of that Mustang to stay as far ahead as he possibly could. McAdam with the late braking couldn't really do anything about it on this occasion, but he looked quite pacey at the moment, as does the train of cars building up behind the Mustang of Weatherburn at the moment.
I will say this track perfectly suits the Bentley sort of strengths in terms of acceleration. There's no super high speed straights, but it just, all the acceleration zones really suits the Bentley strengths. That sort of second, third to fourth acceleration, and it really is quite a nice car to drive around here. And we see a good point by Gorilla Snapper in chat as well. Forcing the cars to follow their grid boxes helps with the sort of tidying up the start races. But that's an interesting point, because Hignett wasn't over his box at the start of the race from the angle that we got. So it'll be interesting to see if that was picked up, or if maybe I missed the angle a little bit. But they did say they will be very strict with implementing that. And that will be a double sort of kick in the nuts for Hignett if that would happen.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, you'd hope that isn't the case for Benjamin Hignett. But we'll have to see what happens. But now Moyen Taufik is starting to close onto the back of Barker here, so creating a little bit of a Ferrari battle. But Philip behind Weatherburn is also closing in on these two, so the train that Weatherburn has been leading might be able to just hook onto the back of the Barker Taufik gaggle here for the moment. But out front, Cook is still running away with things at the moment. 1.4 seconds clear of Benjamin Hignett. Raschuti is doing very, very well, as there was a little bit of a look.
Oh.
As Hignett's dropped back, he's made a mistake. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. That is a big drift. How did he save that? How on earth did he save that?
I didn't know it's possible to turn more than full opposite lock, but he somehow managed it. And that was a pretty mighty slide. I would love to see an onboard of that, because that was a very, very good save. Managed to lose, well, what, about 4/10 in that whole slide that he had there, but good opportunistic driving from Raschuti. Kept it nice and tight as they went into turn 3. And managed to just sneak up the inside. But now he is going to be under quite a bit of pressure from Hignett. Although, well, maybe he did have the pace advantage. Let's see how these things play out. But look at the gap now to Brad Cook. As we have seen so often this season, once he gets ahead, if you give him the smallest little bit of a break, he is absolutely gone.
Yeah, that's it. Wow. Heart and mouth for Benjamin Hignett there, I would say. But the control to keep that pointed in the right direction was, yeah, that was just incredible, really. But Brad Cook still setting fast laps, 201.7. As here is McAdam. He is gaining on the Mustang. Is he going to dive to the inside? Weatherburn tries to defend, but he can't do anything about it. McAdam with the late braking. Can he do anything with the acceleration? It looks like they're still going side by side, as Purcell goes very, very deep in the background. Weatherburn at the inside line should be able to hold on for now. That's going to leave McAdam vulnerable. No, he dives to the inside. It's going to be contact. Does he manage to get it? Yes, but he's going to let Weatherburn go back through, and that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, that was always going to end in contact there. That's not somewhere you want to have a late move attempt. And good on him to just let him go immediately. But that was very good racing side by side there until, well, it wasn't. But McAdam, I don't know how he does it. He's just so good on the brakes. So late on the brakes into turn 1 there, and he still managed to pull it up to the apex beautifully. And you can see there just a very light contact, but he does the right thing and just lets him go again. But it has cost them quite a bit of time to Taufik ahead, and also allowed everybody behind to catch back up again. So really tightened things up, and Weatherburn seems to be, I wouldn't say struggling, but he just doesn't have a real pace advantage over any of these guys behind him at the moment.
Yeah, right now it's very tricky for Weatherburn to hold on, but he's doing it for the most part. Oh dear, Graham Hill. He fell back, and now Corsia cushion drive through. Ouch.
Ouch. Ouch indeed. We didn't see the contact that caused that, as we are looking at the most epic looking car, although I will say that's a very second-hand looking epic car with that bonnet there as he comes through the hip.
Oh, that was
Rejoin.
tight.
Oof.
That was a little too tight for my liking, but no contact, so that's fine. And Weatherburn again having to defend. Here comes McAdam once again around the outside. He's going to be hard-ass to get it done there, but he's got to get the switch back because Weatherburn's gone very, very deep. The rain has stopped, and McAdam is through.
Great move there by McAdam. That was beautifully set up. He caught Weatherburn there.
Oh,
Hook, line, and sinker. Oh, that's just
Lance,
strolled.
we've been Lance strolled. Here we go, though. Are we gonna see it on the replay? Oh no!
No.
He hasn't gotten it done,
Okay,
and now
he's not ahead of
Vintner's
him.
going to get back through. Vintner's going to try and get back through on Jusman, but he goes very, very deep.
Oh.
Does he keep it on the road? Just wow, that is tight stuff. But Jusman just manages to stay ahead, and now Dylan kicks in. Oh, that's a tight rejoin. You have to be very, very careful going wide on that curb now. And now Vintner and King going side by side, and Vintner has backed out of it. But now Purcell is going to have a go around the outside. You're going to be very difficult to get there, but he's got a little bit of traction, but can't do it. Oh my lord.
Time to breathe, I think, just a little bit.
No. No breathing allowed. Not in the commentary box.
That was really well set up there by McAdam in turn 1, and Jusman, he certainly tried something into the entry there of turn 3. It was a risky move, and it doesn't seem to have come off. But yeah, I just have to defend myself a little bit that I don't use bonnet cam for wet weather purposes. I use bonnet cam for everything because I used to play GT Sport, and that was the cam that you raced in, and that's what I used to. So that is the reason. It's not for cheating purposes.
Oh, beautiful camera. Beautiful camera.
And it is the best cam. So I don't know what people are getting so confused about. And their immersion can suck one. Anyway, the track has gone damp already.
Wow, that's quick.
That was a lot quicker than expected. We see Foxtrot get a 10-second penalty. That might be for that little touch we saw earlier. I think it was on Rando, if I'm not mistaken. Can't recall exactly. But yeah, so this track is changing a lot faster than I would have expected. Let's see who will be the first one to bite the bullet. You don't want to box when the track is damp, but when it gets to that greasy stage, that's when the sort of crossover period between the wet and the dry tires starts coming into the window. And we should see somebody will take the risk to go a bit early and try and gain that advantage. And it could work, or you could grain your tires and yeah, absolutely ruin the rest of the race. It's still 1 hour to go, so a very long time.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see when all these drivers choose to pit. It's definitely too early yet, but I'd say as it gets closer and closer and closer to those greasy and green conditions, it will become far more up to the interpretation of the drivers as to when they choose to pit. But right now, you would say that Weatherburn is quite having a difficult race out there right now, struggling a bit for pace and traction out of these corners at the Nurburgring. Is now Hignett all over the back of Rashuti. Rashuti was very, very good at the start of this race, but is now struggling in these damp conditions. In Hignett, he's going to have a go into turn 1. He's got the slipstream, and he is going to be right there with him at turn 1, but it can be a bit of a pinch point, so he has to be very, very careful on the brakes. Ferrari can be pretty good on that as McAdam sets the fastest lap. McAdam's absolutely flying out there. He's caught right up to the back of Barker and Taufik, and Rashuti manages to defend into turn 1, but Hignett dives up the inside, can't do it. Just had the nose in the mirrors, trying to scare Rashuti into an error. but Rashidi is valiant and strong, and he is not scared by the assault of Benjamin Hickman in the Pit Viper snakeskin livery.
Yeah, that's great defense from Richuti. Of course, two very experienced campaigners here. They've been around OR for absolute yonks, and they've raced each other on track many times. So there's a lot of respect there shown between them, and they know they can trust each other to go side by side should it come down to it. But yeah, we are just Weatherburn, as you said, struggling a little bit for pace, and fortunately in this case you can't blame the car because we see Brad Cook absolutely flying away at the front in the Mustang. So he just maybe just got the tires a little bit wrong or something. But anyway, it is these tricky conditions. I think this is where cars like the Ferrari and the Porsche and the Aston absolutely shine with their fully functioning DC systems. We get a replay here of Richuti coming down into the hairpin.
Ooh, that's deep.
Ooh, very deep.
And that's going to be return serve, Hignett back through. So one mistake led to Rashidi getting through, another mistake led to Hignett getting him back.
Yeah, I think Richuti will be kicking himself for that. That is an unforced error if ever I've seen one, but he still looks like he has a fair amount of pace, so he will be sticking to the back of Hignett, and that's very much a battle that could be sort of not necessarily decided, but affected by the pit stops once that starts rolling around. As we see Damiano Percolini here, currently sitting P3 in class, right behind Rando on track, and then there's a little bit of a gap to the top two in silver. We do have Austin, our lead AM driver, in P15, so very strong performance from him so far. And Percolini gets a good run out of the final corner, although Rando seemed to have carried quite a bit of speed with that wider line there. I don't think the Porsche will necessarily have the legs coming down the main straight. Will he be able to do anything? He'll have to be pretty bloody brave onto the brakes, and he's not in this occasion. Although Rando did run a little bit deep there.
Yeah, Rando is the one who ended up being quite brave on the brakes, but he manages to stay ahead of Turcolini for now. Can Turcolini dive it down the inside turn 3? No, he thinks better of it. But he's just sticking a nose in there. You got to be careful of that. I think there was a little bit of contact, but it was contact that didn't contribute to anything. And now Rando's gotten a poor exit. Can Turcolini dive around the outside into turn 5? You're going to be hard-ass to get it through there. Porsche can't do it, so I don't think any car can really do it. But Rando right now under a whole host of pressure from the 844 behind. Can Damiano try anything into the Dunlop car? I don't think so. He's just a bit too far back on this occasion, but does force Rando to defend, trying to draw any mistake out of the Aston Martin where possible. So this battle is really intensifying very quick.
Yeah, and speaking of intensifying battles, we have McAdam within 3/10 of Taufik as well for that top 5 position at the front. So quite a few little tight battles throughout the field here. See Vinton also very close behind King. As we go on board here with Weatherburn. What happened there? Did Weatherburn just run a little bit deep on the exit of the Schumacher? Good.
Potentially, it did look like
yeah, he went off at the Schumi S's.
Yeah. Looks like Kelsman was carrying a bit more speed than the Mustang through there and was getting through rather early. So yeah, that sounds about right. So Kelsman through on Weatherburn, who continues to unfortunately struggle in this one. Now Taufik's lost the position to McAdam. McAdam is really flying out on the track right now. The Bentley, as you say, really suited to the track conditions, just the track layout in general as well. So McAdam putting it to good use and be able to stretch his legs even more as the track continues to dry.
Yeah, he should be able to potentially get a side-by-side with Barker if he can get a good run going through a bit curve. But we'll see once they arrive there. Richuti still 4/10 behind Hignett, so he is certainly keeping him honest. But yeah, this is a nice little battle pack developing here, and the gap from Barker to Richuti is only 3.4 seconds. So with 55 minutes remaining, if McAdam, given the pace that he's shown so far, if he can clear Barker in good time, there's absolutely no reason that he could potentially not be fighting for a podium today. That sentence did not make sense, but I think you understood what I meant.
Yeah, I think it's a case of just the double negatives
Yeah.
cancelling each other out, but completely understood, I think. So McAdam now, he knows what his target is, and with 55 minutes to go, there's still plenty of time for him to have an impact on this race. And that Bentley is very quick, as we saw from race 1, I believe it was Benjamin Piper, who took it out in a split yellow in dominant fashion, really, and was driving a Bentley. So it's very quick around here, as Rando has lost position as Damiano, and that is why, just a little bit wide out of the Dunlop Kerr. Now into the Schumacher S's. Rightly does Rando back out, and that was very well controlled by Circolini not to run off the track himself.
Yeah, very tricky when you have to compromise the exit there, or the entry into the S's. It's a very commitment-based corner. You need to commit on a turn-in point and then hope that it just sticks. And he certainly stuck on that occasion, and a great move there by him as we are on board here. Now back with McAdam as he's all over the back of Barker. You see another big old yellow flag. There are 219 cars involved there. So
Oh,
that
that's a lot. That's a lot of drivers, I think, involved there. Let's have a look. Oh, this is Barker, and
he got ahead.
yeah, he did get ahead a little bit, but Barker came back, and that was actually really well done, as that's a car around, and that would be the number 30 of Xing Chang, if I'm not mistaken.
The Chan get involved with a rejoin here and 219. I'm thinking.
I'm worried.
I'm hoping I'm wrong.
I'm worried.
But I think that may have been the case. Just like we'll draw us up a good old replay soon, but McAdam is really getting a very good view of the back of that Ferrari, and they pulled a little bit of a gap on Taufiki as well. So Barker does have some pace in reserve, but this track seems to be drying out fairly quickly as we do go to a replay here of what happened to Weatherburn. Comes through turn 2. Penalty there for that. Foxtrot, 15 seconds for causing a collision. What happened? No, okay, Weatherburn. Whoa, okay. Sympathy spin
That's odd.
there?
They spun together on that curb.
Yeah. Get another replay here.
Everything's happening right now.
Hignett made a mistake again. Ooh, managed
Here comes Rashuti. Does he get the move done around the outside? Oh, that's tight. There was a little bit of a nudge, but they both went off the track, just trying to hold the position. And crucially, McAdams through on Barker.
Science. Brent is just pushing the replay button every 5 seconds at the moment. There's so much going on. But yeah, we'll get a replay of what happened there for McAdam to get through. But that is very important for McAdam to clear him that quickly, so he can start trying to cut into that gap between himself and Rashuti. Speaking of gaps, Rashuti 0.2 seconds behind Hignett on the previous timing line. So these guys...
Oh my lord! That was a little bit close there, Mr. Rashuti. Nearly having another moment. Yeah, everything's just decided to happen all at once, and I think Brent's going to have some nightmares about the replay button tonight. As Rashuti, does he dive down the inside? This is going to be very, very tight, but he's now has to go on the outside into the bit curb, and I don't think he's going to be able to hold it, but has he compromised the exit of Hignett a little bit? He's just not going to get the run going through Advenbergen, so Rashuti will have to hold behind Hignett for a little bit longer, but he's definitely got the pace.
Yeah, the pace advantage that Rashuti has almost makes me wonder if he's running less fuel. I don't think he is. It won't be a huge amount less. I mean, everybody would have short fuel, sort of maybe for about half race distance.
McAdam's in.
McAdam
and track's gone greasy.
It went greasy. That was
that
very
is
well timed.
Timing. That is as good a timing as you can get for McAdam. And Rashuti breaks very late, but can't get down the inside. I don't think he wanted to get down the inside, in all honesty. But, ugh, this race has gone straight to 11. It is really, really interesting, really, really exciting now. Had quite a few pit stops in this race, and, well, here we have a little bit of a replay with Turcolini, Rando, and in between them is Zin and Chan. Going into turn one, I believe there was a yellow flag involving Zin and Chan. That's going to be just too late on the brakes.
Oh no. That is sudden. They had exactly the same thing. They had exactly the same thing happen in reverse at Paul Ricard.
Yeah.
Where Turcolini did exactly the same thing to Zin and Chan. So unfortunate to see. But what did you want to ask? Sorry.
How many instances have we seen Zin and Chang involved in over the past few rounds? That's really just my question here.
Yes. Yes. I think the answer is yes. But, we have a blue flag here at a very awkward time. Cameraman takes a little while to shift over. Will Foxtrot be able to get out of the way efficiently here and not cost these guys too much time? He has decided to not do it yet, so hopefully he can get a good run through the chicane. Oof, that's risky going on the grass in these conditions. So yeah, we saw McAdam. Ooh, I think Foxtrot has made a bit of a meal of this. He had ample opportunity to get out of the way then. Fortunately, didn't really cost Ignat anything, but that could have ended quite a bit worse. As we see a proper dry line now forming. And yeah, this is, I'm surprised, but also kind of impressed with McAdam's call to do the pit stop, as we see Barker and Taufik also box now. And how
everyone and their dog is pitting.
Yep. I don't think dogs are allowed to drive for this. Sure.
Oh, no, I've seen enough videos of dogs driving. Surely they're not edited in any way or whatsoever. As here is Rashidi. Oh, that's a dive down the inside at turn 3 in the Mercedes arena. Oh, it's very tight between these two. You gotta give Hignett some credit. He's defending stoutly at the moment. And you can tell that Rashidi has the pace advantage. It's just he can't do anything with it. But Hignett's gone a little bit wide. But thankfully for him, there's no room at the outside into the forward curve. This battle is going to rage on for hours and hours, but there's only 47 minutes left.
It's not how time works. Anyway, this is going to be, if they try and box on the same lap here, that's going to be a very, very tight and tricky pit entry, as we see. Oh, that is the biggest of big sticks that the stewards have.
And I think the biggest of big sticks is probably worth it for that incident.
I think it's appropriate, yes. I think they've chosen correctly. But yeah, let's see whether either of these, and also importantly Brad Cook, decide to dive into pit lane at this stage, or will they stay out a little bit longer? You see McAdam drop to P12 with his pit stop. And we're waiting for the sort of latest timing update to see where Barker and Taufik comes out as Brad Cook dives into pit lane. Not the best pit entry. He very nearly collected the wall there, but he managed to just slow down at the last second. And a nice aggressive pit entry. He's followed by Rachuti and Hignett. This is going to be a battle of the pit crews. Hopefully Stake, Sauber is not in the pit lane for either of them. And Barker has undercut McAdam again.
I will just say, the kick Sauber actually had the fastest pit stop.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, I think we have enough evidence for that joke still to sort of make sense. That's interesting. I don't know how. Maybe McAdam had a poor pit stop or something, because
maybe while the track condition was closer to the damper that was green. I don't know. It's odd, very odd.
This track is staying greasy for quite a while. I mean, it went damp very quickly and then stayed damp for a little while, and now it's staying greasy quite a while. But yeah, it's a very tricky pit entry to get right. You see Brad Cook drops down from the jacks. Rachuti drops down from the jacks. Hignett drops down from the jacks. Hignett still ahead of Rachuti. And that is a discouraging sight for Ricciuti, but he will also be very much aware that he had what seemed like a bit of a pace
McAdam
advantage
up the
as McAdam.
inside. That's a dive, and I think he's got it done, but on the wet stuff, it's going to be tricky for him to keep that tire temp. Barker around the outside, if he can hold that, that would be incredible, as Ahmed Jusman sets the fastest lap, and just doesn't have the grip to do it, so that is McAdam back up into P4 in this race.
Very good move there. I mean, Barker tried everything in his defensive arsenal there, but not quite enough on the day. And I suspect we will see McAdam try and run away a little bit now. What is the gap between McAdam and... Okay, we don't really have an update.
We'll get it up at the end of this straight here, I believe.
Well, we do have Weatherburn and who hasn't pit yet, so that'll be affecting the gaps ever so slightly as
Weatherburn
well.
has pit.
Oh, he has. My God. ACC, for God's sake. So McAdam 2.6 only behind Ricciuti. Ignat closed about a second within the pit stop battle there, so...
Wow.
Yeah, it's
close up between all of them, really. This is intriguing.
It's really a good opportunity for McAdam to do something a little bit special here. He's been, so far this season, for me, he hasn't qualified well pretty much anywhere. But his race pace and his race craft has been absolutely bloody beautiful. And he just puts it together when it starts mattering in the race, and we've seen that so far today. Fought his way back up from what I think about P8 or so, and he's now P4, and he's very quickly closing in on P3 at the moment.
Yeah, he's been threatening to do something quite special so far this season, as that's Dylan King down the inside of Vintner, who just went a little bit wide through the chicane, and they're still going to go side by side as they exit the Coca-Cola curve. Who will win in a straight line, Aston Martin or BMW? They're pretty much neck and neck, but BMW power starting to get the edge. Will Dylan King dive it down the inside and try and have that inside line? No, I think they both just lacked a bit of commitment, but Vintner went very deep, and now he'll have the inside going to turn 2, but I think he's kind of backed out of it, and he's going to try again into turn 3, but just doesn't have the traction. So Dylan King, Pro-Am driver, up to P7, mixing it with the pros if you don't mind.
Yeah, that was some beautiful racing by both of them. A lot of respect shown, and King has a bit of a bad exit there. That has allowed Vintner to get back alongside as they come into Valvoline curve.
Well
he hangs it around the outside. That is not easy to do on an optimal track. That is very impressive to get right on a greasy track. And we see Graham Hill, he's nowhere on the leaderboard. Oh, he's P17 at the moment, but he is setting fastest lap after fastest lap. So certainly some pace in that Ferrari yet. McAdam has already closed the gap to Ricciuti. Hignett has closed the gap to Cook a little bit. So things in the top 5 certainly spicing up ever so slightly. Taufik all over the back of Barker as well. We are in for a treat if things continue the way they are going at the moment.
I just love these weather-affected races. They always produce something a little bit different. I'm hearing from Babby there in chat that McAdam actually qualified on 120 litres this race, which is certainly a strategy.
It's too much fuel for quali. I can as a fairly experienced driver in ACC, I can say with a fair amount of confidence that's too much. That's not how much you need for quali.
Hignett was a lot faster than Cook on that lap, and McAdam, fastest of the top 4, is closing down on Ricciuti and was about a tenth faster than Hignett, and probably about 8 tenths faster than Cook.
Look how quickly that gap from McAdam to Barker has grown, over 2 seconds, 2.3. And Barker didn't really go particularly defensive on that previous lap, so
track
can't
green.
Really even track has gone green. It's actually grey if you look.
No, there is green on the outside. There is green on the outside.
Technically the track. Yeah, so qualifying on 120 liters is certainly a strategy.
One of the choices of all time.
Yeah, not sure what the reasoning behind that would be, whether it was a mistake or just a flex, weird flex, but okay. As we see,
McLaren wing.
Yeah, Taufik, he's going to be in a world of frustration here. He's been behind Barker for most of this race. Then got caught by McAdam, overtaken by McAdam. McAdam has overtaken Barker and pissed off into the distance. And Taufik is still looking at the back of that Ferrari, hoping and praying to find a way through. This might be an opportunity. Barker squeezes him on the outside. Maybe a little bit of contact there, and Taufik tries to hang it around the outside. Barker is he's known to be a little bit of an aggressive driver, so you have to really stamp your authority in a battle with him. Can Taufik get a good run coming down through at Van Bogen up towards the NGK chicane? He's very, very close, going around the outside. You see Barker just cuts the nose off immediately. Does not want to go side by side through here, and Taufik will have to try and figure it out on the following lap. Brad Cook goes fastest. Benjamin Hignett goes faster. Will we see McAdam go faster? Not this time around.
Hignett was over a second faster than Cook on the last lap. Brad Cook has issues.
You mean in terms of pace, or like just in general?
No, he's yes. Just no. Definitely in terms of pace at this stage, because Hignett right now absolutely flying.
Yeah, he's on a seems to be on a bit of a different planet pace-wise at the moment. Pulled away from Richuti, but 2.8 seconds as well. So yeah, certainly maybe he put the special set of tires on in that latest pit stop, because it's certainly working for him at the moment. But we see Pascal Armstrong here recovering after an early incident. He is currently in P14 and very close to the back of Rando. That is also for a Pro-Am podium position, so this will be a very, very nice welcome to the Pro-Am class for Pascal Armstrong if he can get an overtake done on Rando here, and it certainly looks like something that is possible as he sends it up the inside of turn 3 through the Mercedes arena. Will Rando give him the space on the outside? They go side by side. Rando is very much compromised. That's technically off track from Pascal Armstrong there, but I think that's fair game given how they went side by side through there, and he is through up into P13 and P3 in the Pro-Am class.
Yeah, he'll think it's okay. Rando might be a little bit aggrieved by it, but generally I think that's play on. Solid move from Pascal. Oh my lordy, that was close. Going broken. Yeah.
I don't think that's how you pronounce his surname, Lexus. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think it's Pascal Strong. As we see, Benjamin Hignett is now right on the back of Brad Cook. Holy crap, is he flying or what? McAdam has sort of stagnated a little bit, not really closing the gap on Richuti anymore, but Richuti is just falling back, and Hignett is in a completely different class all by himself in terms of pace at the moment. The question is now, does the Ferrari have the legs to overtake a Mustang? And I mean, technically, yes, the answer is no, but that's quite wide. But he will be looking for any way to force a mistake out of Brad Cook, who is a driver who doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So good luck to Benjamin Hignett doing that. We get a little replay here of the Pascal Strong moment as he gets a good run on Barker and just carries so much overspeed. Oh, that was a touch close on the back of Barker there, I guess.
If there wasn't, it was very close to it, but yeah, it was not my proudest moment on commentary, I'll be honest.
I mean, it was quite a cool sound.
Just usual Lexus noises, I suppose.
Exactly, it's what we come to expect from you. That's what the fans want to see.
Yes.
We also see in chat Rax on RC asking what is a good lap around here in the dry. So if you're looking at an optimal track, let's say in these type of temperatures, towards the very, very pointy end of the field, you'll be looking at sort of mid to high 52s. Anything in the 53s is a very, very quick lap time. And then, oof, that's a risky line from Hignett. Oh, that's an even more risky line from Taufik. Oh, a little bit of door banging there. Barker give him the space on the outside. He squeezes, he squeezes. That is so risky from Barker, but they managed to survive that time around. And Barker is not showing all that much self-preservation. They're looking a little bit of aggressive there on Taufik, but Taufik is...
He had the line, I think. Into that corner, he had the inside. He had the line. He was ahead going into the chicane, so I think he had every right there. Wow, that is very, very tight. Probably want to leave a little bit more room to the inside of Advenbergen. But yeah, going into the chicane, I think he had the right to that lines, but this is just excellent, excellent racing between these two.
Yeah, I mean, he had the right to the corner. I just mean he's sort of moving across a little bit on Tawfiq, sort of just being a little bit aggressive. But I mean, it's fair racing overall, as we see these two guys still going at it. Dylan King and Benjamin Wintener, they have not been able to settle this little squabble they've been having. Well, it looks as though King has got a good run. He squeezes Wintener onto the grass there. Wintener trying to hang it around the outside, just like King did a little bit earlier. Will he be able to? He certainly will be able to stick it in there. King almost closes the door, but they managed to make it through. I think that was a bit of rubbing is racing and fair game play on. But look who has joined the party. Tim Purcell, our lead silver driver, has said, may I have a little bit of this little battle you guys are having here? As Wintener goes deep, it's going to allow King around the outside of the Schumacher SS. Not exactly an overtaking opportunity, I would say. And this is going to come down to the smallest mistake. And thus far, these guys have kept it pretty clean.
Yeah, definitely. Out front, it is still Cook leading the way from Hignett. But now that Hignet's stuck behind Cook, Rashuti is gaining massively, and McAdam has really stagnated. He's just doesn't quite have the pace now. I wonder if he's overpressured the tires a little bit. As now Taufik's still on the back of Barker. Barker is putting in an absolute job as well. It's actually Rashuti. He's just massively fast. 55.8 sets the fastest lap of the race.
Ooh, Hignett gets very close to the back of Cook there. Cook with a big old slide out of turn one there. So it's not Chris, everybody should be on rise now. Everybody has pitted after the rain stopped, so I think everybody should be on rise. Track is green, so yeah, I don't think anybody will be on the wets by this stage now. But yeah, as you said, Rachuti there, 2/10 quicker than Hignett's fastest lap, and Hignett didn't do his fastest lap on the previous lap, so yeah, this is interesting. I'm wondering, as you said, with McAdam, either overpressured or maybe just grained them by boxing a little bit too early. The track was maybe still a little bit too wet for those dries, and he just absolutely grained them going through that horrible graining phase, which is about 12 to 15 minutes into a run normally. And maybe he can come out the other side of it and still get some good pace on those tires, but the pace at the moment seems to be in the hands of Ruchuti.
Yeah, most definitely. Like this race is complexified massively in the varying pace of the top four cars, and it looks like we might have a battle between the top three for what could be a win here at the Nurburgring. Cook currently holds on to it, and he's doing a pretty good job of holding off the pace of Hignett, but soon enough they're going to have another driver to worry about in Stefano Raschuti, who's really come alive in this one. He is now 1.3 seconds off the back of Benjamin Hignett. It's on here with 30 minutes to go.
Yeah, this is certainly going to add a little bit of an extra ingredient to this battle for the leaders. It looks as though Hignett got a great run out of the final corner, but he is in a Ferrari and he is racing a Mustang, and generally in these sort of battles the Ferrari doesn't have the straight line superiority. Is he going to attempt a Piastri-like lunge into turn one? He certainly does. Brad Cook is very respectful, gives him the space, but he will have the inside going into turn two, and Hignett is going to be hard pressed to hang it around there. He certainly kept it there, but he will still be on the outside for turn three. That is going to be battle over at this stage, but the war is yet raging on. Cook with a very poor line there, manages to park it on the apex and gets a little boop in the rear from Hignett there, saying, I'm here, mate, you can't afford to make even a small mistake at the moment.
Yep, this race is well and truly on. Hignett can't find a way through. It's very well defended from Brad Cook. Does not break under pressure. And Stefano Raschuti is just holding in the background, just waiting for either of these two to make a mistake. He's seen Hignett make mistakes earlier in this race. He knows what can happen. If someone just makes a slight error, he can capitalize. And that's what he's there for. He is just going to stay there, wait for these two to fight, and have his own through goes Hamilton moment.
we're seeing confirmation in chat by Dibbles that 711 self-reported there was an incident between Barker and Taufik, and you can see the gap between
Oh,
Barker and
Hignett.
McAdam. Oh, it's a drag
Here is
race,
Hignett.
side by side. Ooh.
This is going to be tight. Who's going to back out it? I think Cook's got the line, but none of them have backed out of it. This is going to be tricky. How is... And the...
Goes Richard. Ooh. Oh my god. Okay. Replay here. Rajuti tries to take the
Oh,
opportunity.
Hignett just got a bit loose and Rashidi could not react to it. Oh, that is so unfortunate.
I mean, you can't really put the blame on Rajuti there. He tried to
No, you can't.
sort of capitalize, but Hignett completely lost it. So that is awful.
I don't think you can put the blame on anyone there. That's just a series of unfortunate events.
That would have been so nice if Rajuti could have stolen the lead there, but now he is down in P4 with what I would say would be a pretty damaged Lamborghini, although that Ferrari of Benjamin Hignett won't be in the best of conditions. As we see, Taglini gets a move done on Austin there and moves up into P16. But with all of that, McAdam is now 1.6 seconds behind Cook. And I don't think Cook will have any damage really there. I don't think he got hit, but you saw he was struggling a little bit in pace. So McAdam might be the ultimate sort of beneficiary of this shitty situation we just saw.
Yeah, McAdam has a real opportunity here. Hignett won't quite be as fast as he was before now that he's got that damage. And you would suspect there'll be a fair bit of it given how hefty that whack with Rashidi was. And well, I just don't really know what to say after that. It was nearly the perfect opportunistic move from Rashidi, with Hignett and Cook not giving each other an inch. It seemed like it was destined for the Lamborghini to fly on past, but unfortunately for Rashidi, it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, as Burton Motorsport said, I don't know any driver who wouldn't have gone for that. You see that gap, you go for it. That's not a...
When you have the two drivers in front of you, who are the two leaders in this race, have a moment of side-by-side that slows them down, and you have a gap to the right, you take that gap.
Yeah, absolutely. And you couldn't have predicted that Hignett would be having that bigger moment and sort of sliding across the track. So just very unlucky all around there. But speaking of unlucky, Taufik with a 15-second penalty. That would be for the contact on Barker on the previous lap. The fact that they're still both nose to tail tells me the contact couldn't have been that big, although they did lose a fair chunk of time. But in saying that, with all of the dramas that have happened, they've actually closed the gap on Rajuti, so I guess net gain there overall, unfortunately. But yeah, Hignett seems to be still a little bit quicker than Brad Cook at the moment, and McAdam just does not have the pace to hang with them at the moment. He's starting to drop off a little bit again. You see a blue flag there, get out of the way very nicely. But Vintner, he's now very interested in this little battle, as Barker goes a little bit deep. Taufik carries the tighter line, but Barker gets a good exit there. And they come up to, you can see a fair amount of damage to the front of that M&M liveried Ferrari. Let's see if they can get anything done here coming into the Kumo curve. He is not close enough on this occasion. Purcell still within 6/10 of King, but King seems to have dropped off the back of Vintner, who has caught up to the back of this little pack here. So I'm wondering if that's just a little bit of a pace disadvantage or whatever happened there. But Purcell Jusman is still very close behind King at the moment.
Hignett hasn't lost any pace. He's just set a fast lap of 55.4. Track is now fast, but yeah, he clearly the damage isn't doing him too badly at this stage. He's still breaking clear slightly of Brad Cook, but it sense Vintner can just smell an opportunity at a top 5 finish with not only Taufik's penalty, but perhaps a little bit of damage to Barker, just lacking a little bit of pace, whereas Vintner, he's looked very, very good after getting back through on Dylan King earlier on in this race, about, what, 5-10 minutes ago?
Yeah, I mean, they had that epic battle that was very good watching, and he seems to have come out victorious and decided that, as epic as it was, he was done with it, and he left the scene and caught up to the back of this little train here, and trying to find a way through. But as we've seen so far today, Barker is not an easy man to overtake. Taufik has been trying for the better part of 50 minutes and not yet been able to find a way past. So maybe Vintner has that magic bullet to get past Barker, but it seems to be a pretty tricky task to complete.
Yeah, most definitely. Here is Tim Purcell, the lead silver class driver behind the lead Pro-Am driver in Dylan King in the 91 Aston Martin. Purcell will be wanting to get through and move up into P8 and give us a little bit of an opportunity to sniff of Pro-Am win battle between King and the freshly promoted Jusman. Jusman having a very, very solid race out there in P10, once again showing why he got promoted up to the Pro-Am class and was so good earlier on whilst in the AM class at the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it almost begs the question, like, could it have been a little silver play? But, you know, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. As we see a yellow flag there, that's Rando and Thurkalini, I think, have come together at the hairpin. As we see them come down here on the run towards Dunlop Curve.
Yeah, Dunlop Curve, yeah. Damiano, no.
Oh, no, that's not it. That is not the move that you want to go for. That was a bit of, that smells of desperation, I would say.
That is a bit of a brain fade, unfortunately, for Damiano Cercolini, and that will be a penalty coming his way, unfortunately. So not the best of races for Damiano, this one.
No, certainly could have gone better. He is still P3 in the silver class, although I think there is only 3 silver drivers in this split, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, he's technically on the podium, but he's also last in class, so it's not his best race he's had this season. He's had a very good season overall, I would say. So, I mean, we're all allowed a bit of a brain fart every now and then.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, none of us are going to be that perfect driver. I don't think even the best of the best make some small, silly errors from time to time as Barker gets a little bit of the grass on the inside of the Schumacher S's, but doesn't do him any harm. He's done very well to hold ahead of Taufik. Probably a little bit with some fortune, but sometimes you have to drive your way to that luck as well.
I mean, you're saying that nobody would be perfect, but have you seen Lord Mahibia driving a Formula 2 car? That's
have you seen the new Lord Niels Coulin driving a Formula 2 car?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, there's a couple of perfect drivers out there, I'm just saying. But this little battle gets very close and personal there from Vintner. Sam O'Brien pointing out that Austin is leading AM class. That is certainly correct, although I think that gap from Foster has come down ever so slightly. But Austin has been pretty strong so far today. Vintner had a little look there, and I think he made Taufik flinch ever so slightly. But they both managed to pull it up nicely and continue on their way. There's 21 minutes remaining. There is still a long while of racing to go. And we've seen how much has happened so far in this race, so I wouldn't just quite yet start putting the kettle on for that before bed tea. There might still be some excitement here as we see a 15-second penalty for Damiano Thurkalini in the 844 Porsche.
Yep, I'd say that's a pretty fair penalty for the incident with Rando earlier on. So Damiano will take that on the chin, and he will continue on this race with the 20 minutes to go. The closest battles that we have out on track are this little train with Barker, Taufik and Vintner, but there's also the train involving King, Purcell and Jusman that's still nice and tight. Purcell has not been able to make too many assaults on the Aston Martin of Dylan King at this stage, but it seems those two battles are the closest that we have out on track. Damiano is there with Foster, but not close enough really to be making a move, as Taufik, meanwhile, he is looking like he wants to finally make that move on Barker. He's had enough of being hounded by the BMW of Ben Vintner, and he wants to try and get through on the fellow Ferrari of Barker. Barker defends valiantly. Vintner had a look trying to force the error out of Taufik, put him in a compromised position, but Taufik does not budge. So it's getting very, very interesting. And up ahead, Rashuti, who likely has quite a bit of damage, is just continuing to fall back into the clutches of David Barker.
It's going to be interesting to see once they catch Rashuti, which I think appears to be a little bit sort of inevitable here at this stage, as the blue flag needs to stay out of the way. Does so for the most part. That's very nicely done.
It's hard to do it at turn 1.
Yeah. I'm wondering if Rashuti, because he knows that he doesn't have the pace at the moment, right? The car is completely broken. Will he actually try and defend this, or will he just let them go and sort of accept it? Because he could very well sort of determine who of this three gets out ahead if he manages to defend so much that some of them make a mistake.
Yeah, definitely. I think it could be a little bit of both. I think he'll try and defend a little bit to start off with, but once one goes through, he'll just have to let the others go. He won't have anything to defend with after that. So I think he will try and defend a little bit, but it probably will be in vain a little bit as well, as Graham Hill continuing his recovery after dropping back in the field and also getting his drive through. Now behind Pascal Armstrong trying to get through. He won't probably do it into turn 5. No, he's got the inside, and Pascal Armstrong has gone onto the grass and let him go.
Rashuti has gone off, we're being told. And I think Pascal Armstrong just decided to use a bit of discretion there and just let Hill go. Get a replay here of Rashuti coming into the Schumacher S's. Looks like a pretty clean entry. What has happened here? That's a...
He's just let him go.
Let them go. So he hasn't gone off. I mean,
yeah,
he went off, but...
He doesn't want to get involved in this one.
To be fair, I think Taufik will be cursing Rashuti at the moment, because that would... The battle with Rashuti between Barker and Rashuti would have been the opportunity maybe for Taufik to get through here. And now Rashuti has made it nice and easy, so... Fortunately for Taufik, he continues to get a good view of the rain light of David Barker ahead of him, and yet to find a way through. Meanwhile, up the front of the field, Hignett now basically 3 seconds clear of Brad Cook. So interesting. I'm wondering what happened to Brad Cook in the second stint, because he just did not have the pace that we would have expected from him.
Perhaps he was running a bit more of a wet-leaning setup for this race, and has not being able to transfer that over into the dry conditions for whatever reason. It does seem very, very strange that Brad Cook has not been able to showcase the pace that we normally expect of him, and really, Hignett's been the better of the two so far.
Yeah, I mean, this is no knock on Hignett. He's obviously a very, very fast driver, but he's also carrying a bit of damage. We don't think Cook is carrying any damage, so just a weird stint from Cook. It's just one of those that it doesn't seem like the car's working with him.
I mean, even before like the damage, when the track was still like green, Hignett was gaining by more than a second a lap. It's just very odd, but Taufik has an opportunity here. He's had many opportunities here, but Barker is defended very, very well. And I think with the damage that Taufik's got, he just won't be able to gain in a straight line anymore. Oh my lord. That got a little too close for comfort, as Rashuti has fallen down some more positions. So that car is well and truly, insert swear word here.
Yeah, I think Taufik saw the bloody freaking barcode on the back of the exhaust there. He got so close there. Managed to pull it up without making any contact, but it's very clear that he does have a superior pace advantage on Barker. He's just unable to find a way through, and he's certainly going to be getting more and more frustrated as the time goes on because, yeah, he's Barker's pace is, well, let's say pretty poor at the moment. Get a replay here. This is Thircolini on Austin, I think. Sends one up the inside and
Nice
gets
and
a
clean.
nice clean move.
Yep, pretty good from Damiano, moving ahead of the current M class leader in this race, Sam Austin.
Still looking at this replay, so maybe something else happened.
Nope.
No, okay, we are cutting away at the moment. So yeah, that gap from Foster to Austin now 1.5 seconds. So we might yet have a battle for the AM class lead towards the end of this race. The battle for the Pro AM class lead is still underway, although Purcell is sitting in the middle of that battle at the moment, not allowing Jusman to really attacking in any way, shape, or form at the moment. But Taufik, he's got a lot of airtime today, and it's been all because of being stuck behind Barker, unable to find a way through. Barker there, just sort of parking it on the apex, compromising Taufik's exit, and then gets the better run down the straight. Nothing Taufik can do in that situation.
Meanwhile, Jasmine attacking Purcell does move the car into the mirrors of Purcell, try and force an error. Probably does go a little wide, but Jasmine makes an absolute mare of that chicane and rejoins the track. Hasn't lost a lot of time, but that will most definitely be some form of track limits warning. But yeah, it's just, it's very tricky. Very tricky for these drivers to make a move, especially when you're trying to go against your own car, or well, it won't be your own car specifically, but someone who's also driving the same car brand as you. That's probably a better way of putting it. Just makes that whole lot more difficult because it all comes down to the driver in that instance. A little bit with the setup, you'd think the Ferraris are running much the same setups.
Yeah, you'd think so, and they'd most likely be running fairly high wings, so neither of them would have a sort of a distinct pace advantage on a straight line. And we've seen that with this battle between Jusman and Purcell as well. Neither of them really able to get anything done, even though it appears that Jusman does have the superior pace when it comes down to it. He's just not able to find a way through on Purcell. Purcell losing touch a little bit with King ahead there, 1.2 seconds. Now it's a bit deep from Jusman, but it should give him a pretty good run up the hill towards the S's here. If you can get a good run and stay close, although aero wash through the S's is very much a thing. That's a bit of a compromise run from Purcell, but not enough to really allow Jusman to get anything done. Now let's see if he can get as close as we've seen Taufik get coming through Pt2 down to Advan Curve.
Oh, he gets on the curb. That's not good. Yeah, too much of that curb on the inside, and it's just compromised his run. So we'll have to wait another lap. Meanwhile, oh my lord, look at that gap between Taufik, Barker, Taufik, and Vintner. That's gotten very, very close once again. Barker a little bit wide, but he's going to get a good exit onto this main straight, and that's just really the key to his success so far. He's been able to get much better exit speed and hold the advantage going into the corners where you'd think Taufik would try and get through. Taufik does defend the inside against Vintner, so Vintner thinks better of it and stays out of it. So still holding a station right now in this battle, but it's definitely ramping up as we head into the closing stages of this race. 11 minutes to go.
Barker is doing sort of the equivalent of charging the battery in Formula 1 and just using it at just the right spots, getting that sort of better run out of the hairpin to set him up, going down towards turn 1 so Taufik can't get alongside. And so far it's proving very, very effective. And Vintner, I don't think he'll be particularly frustrated with sitting behind this little battle, given how his season has gone. He's had a couple of disappointing results. And he's usually a very, very strong performer, very consistent performer as well. So sitting in P6, he'd obviously want to get that P4, and he knows that he has that pace advantage over Barker, and he technically is ahead of Taufik at the moment. But I also think he doesn't really want to get too involved in the battle at the moment, and he's seen how it's ended a couple of times so far this race. And he doesn't want to come a cropper with only 10 minutes remaining in a 75-minute race.
Yeah, I think Vintner, it would be smart for him to just take it easy and just wait for his opportunity to come, because with Taufik's 15-second penalty, as long as he keeps it clean, he's guaranteed a top 5 finish. I don't think King quite has the pace to catch up. He hasn't really caught up much at all. But we have a battle in the M class between Austin and Foster here in the aptly named McLaren of Foster, chasing the Porsche of Austin at the moment.
What car is he driving?
McLaren.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Missed that.
Yeah, you have to say it monotone and far closer to the microphone than is deemed comfortable.
Okay, no, I'll keep that in mind. I think Austin is also driving the Porsche.
Yes.
He also has a base livery on there. That's both of them touching sand there in places you don't want to touch sand.
Oh, my
That is
lord.
a proper squeeze from Austin, and he's late on the brakes. Foster, nice and aggressive up the inside.
That is a ballsy move, but he's pulled it off, and magnificently so, from John Foster up the inside of Sam Austin in... No, it's the Pork Viper.
Oh, okay, he does have an actual livery name. He doesn't have an actual livery, but he has a livery name at least. You see J-Rad has come a cropper there at turn 10 as well. Not sure what happened there. I don't think anybody else was involved on that occasion. But Austin will be a little bit disappointed. I mean, he made a small mistake going through the S's there, and it allowed Foster to get the run. He tried a very aggressive defense. Fair, not overly aggressive, but it was good, strong defense. But Foster said, stuff your strong defense.
Oh,
And
Austin sending it right back. That is one hell of a send from a long way back, and he's scared Foster into a mistake. And this M-Class battle is getting very, very feisty.
Yeah, both of these guys are saying, return serve, okay, your turn, let's see what you can do, Foster, because that was a bloody brilliant move by Austin there going into turn 1. Latest of the late breakers, and manages to hit the apex absolutely spot on. Foster gave him maybe a little bit too much room, not really sort of compromising Austin in any way, but good clean racing, and 8 minutes remaining. That's about 5 laps of racing, I would say, depending on where the leaders are at the moment. So there will be plenty of opportunity. Definitely had the pace to catch up to him. So let's see if he can get anything done in these final few laps.
Definitely. Well, running through Schumacher S's again, where we saw Austin make the mistake last time around. He's much cleaner through there, but Foster still very, very close. He's going to have a look to the outside, forcing Austin to defend the inside line going into the Kumho curve. And you'd think Foster at the moment has the pace advantage, but Austin showing great resilience at the moment to hold on. And that's a brilliant run from Austin too, going out of bit curve. So has a nice advantage over Foster going into the chicane. But, oh, that's very late on brakes. But I think Austin was just trying to manage things a little bit. He just wants to hold on to this position as well as he can. He's not gonna take too many risks unless he falls behind. And I think going down the straight, the McLaren is gonna have the slipstream and a little bit of the advantage. They're both quite slow on a straight line. Foster's gonna try and force the issue up the inside, but Austin defends nicely, and Foster around the outside. Can he hold it this time? He's got the inside line going to turn 2. They need to be very, very careful. Austin gives plenty of room. That's good, respectful racing. Perhaps almost too respectful as now. Foster is through.
What a great move. Very late on the brakes on the outside of turn 1, and he hung it around there. Gave himself the opportunity into turn 2. And as you said, Austin maybe a little bit timid in his defense into turn 2. But good respect shown by both of them. And yeah, this battle is only just heating up. Will Austin be in a position to return to sender on this lap as they come down towards the Dunlop that's not a word. I mean, anyway, sorry, German is a silly language, but he is very close behind Foster here, and all of this battling is allowing Rando to sort of catch up as well, and they have to be a little bit careful because he could yet be a thorn in the side of this battle if they decide to slow down a little bit too much.
Yeah, most definitely. It's been entertaining to watch. The M-Class drivers putting on an absolute show and showing some brilliant racecraft as well. It's a little bit too much go on the inside, and Austin's gone wide. My apologies. As Rando now closes in, but he won't be able to close in enough. But he's going to put Austin under a huge amount of pressure now, and you'd think Foster's got the advantage from here.
Yeah, I think that was sort of game, set, and match there, unless Foster makes a mistake. But yeah, if Austin wants to send any complaint letters to the commentators, it is complaints@alexisbowenkirstyou.org. And he is certainly, I think, put an end to the battle for that M-Class win.
Yeah. We have two teammates. Oh, that's a dive from Rando, if you don't mind. Gee whiz, that was a huge dive, and I think, yeah, compromised his exit, but he's going to hold on to that position. Wow, wait, there's some moves further down the pack.
Yeah, this is where all the action is at the moment. I mean, further up the field, the only action we have is Tafik, Vinton and Barker, but that's become a bit of a boring battle as none of them are able to make a move. Austin gets a good run coming down towards the Valvoline curve. Will he be able to do anything? And now we have a Mercedes to join the fight as well. So yeah, things are going from bad to worse for Austin towards the closing stages of this race. He's still on the M-Class podium, which is, of course, where he wants to be, but he certainly lost quite a bit of time and positions in these last few laps.
Yep, here is Zikri in the Mercedes looking to make the move on Austin now, who is definitely in a compromised position and compromised state from here. We've only got 3 minutes to go in this race, by the way. That has gone by very, very quick.
Yeah, it certainly hasn't felt like 75 minutes, to be honest. There's been so much action throughout the field, and it's only been like small little battle packs. It hasn't been huge groups, but it's been very entertaining. And unfortunately, some incidents also taking part in the entertainment. But overall, I think it was a fairly clean lap, or clean race. And we do have Benjamin Hignett closing up on these guys as well. He is coming into Coca-Cola curve. He's going to cross the line, and there will be 2 more laps of racing to go. And I suspect it'll be 2 more laps for these guys as well, as Hignett is very quickly closing up to them. Will be lapping them before he finishes the 2 laps.
Yep, you would think so. Meanwhile, well, here we go. Sam Austin, is he going to go around the outside? No, he can't do it there. Gap between Barker and... Oh my god, less than 10th. But we'll keep an eye on this battle for the moment. Zikri trying to go around the outside. Can't do it. Austin is doing nicely to defend, but also trying to attack his teammate in Rando. But again, it's just very, very tricky to be making overtakes here. Looks like Taufik stayed behind Barker for the moment, so he will stay with this battle with Zikri now all over the Pork Viper car in Sam Austin. Mercedes just doesn't really have a lot of grunt out of these corners to be able to make any sort of move. The Porsche pretty solid on acceleration, just doesn't really have a lot of that straight line speed, I suppose.
Yeah, this is very much a track where cars like the GTR and the Bentley sort of shine with that little bit better sort of mid-range acceleration, where the torque plays a role, and the Porsche and the Mercedes just not really suiting their acceleration. As we see Zikri getting a great run onto the back straight here, and he is pulling out of the way of Hignett. So will Austin be as gracious and get out of the way nice and quickly to... Well, I think he's waited a little bit longer now, so Zikri might have played a bit of a masterstroke here, because Austin will have to get out of the way very quickly once they get onto the straight. Zikri could be in a position to follow through if he can stick close enough. I don't think he's quite managed the gap as well as he would have liked. Austin will have to back out of it. Get back on the power. Zikri with the run down towards turn 1.
Oh, that's a dive. Is he going to pull it up? He has. Has Austin been absolutely mugged again? But Zikri did sort of really halt on that apex and let Austin away with it, really.
Yeah, Zikri completely overslowed there. He pulled it up beautifully towards the apex and then just kept slowing when the move was almost done. But yeah, great defense from Austin again. He's been in positions where it looks like he sort of almost let another car go and then manages to somehow defend it right at the depth of it. But he lives to fight another day, and as we know, second half of the track, there's not a lot of overtaking opportunities. Zikri is going to have to try something pretty special. His team name is Maybe I Should Be an Am Lamau. So I don't think you should be an Am. I think you're in the right class, as he is putting a little bit of pressure on Austin here. We have the leader just up the track from these drivers on his final lap. Time has officially run out. Can Zikri try anything? We don't know. Vintner is on the outside of Taufik here, going through, where is that? That's the
Mercedes
first
Arena.
Yeah. Is he going to be able to get a run coming out of turn
Don't think
4?
so.
Doesn't look like it.
Lost a lot of time going on the outside there, but you can tell that Vintner really wants to get a position on track. He doesn't want to just do it post-race. He wants to get it done on the racetrack.
Let's see, Hignett. Okay,
Oh dear.
winning it. Oh, and Zikri gets the overtake done, and we cut away just in time to see Benjamin Hignett crossing the line for the win. We should be able to jump back to live scenes to confirm the rest of the results, but I'm gonna guess it is Brad Cook, it is John McAdam, it is David Barker, it will be Moeen Taufik on track, but he will be followed by Vintner, who will take that position once the penalty is served, followed by Dylan King. Oh, they are crossing the line just now to confirm those positions. Then Dylan King will be following not too far behind them. Tim Purcell, Ahmed Jusman.
Oh, whoa. Hang on a minute. That is
Sure
not
that was...
on. That is... I'm sorry, but that is completely unacceptable.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was on purpose, but anyway, not something we do like to see here. Dylan Smith in the Caterpillar Mustang. He's had a pretty anonymous race today. We haven't really seen him do much, but he does finish in P12. And great recovery from Graham Hill crossing the line in P13 there, and then Pastor Armstrong drifting it around the final corner. I think that's a TC off move, and he will finish P14, followed by Damiano Tercalini, who will cross the line in P15. He does have a 15-second penalty that will drop him down behind John Foster. And we see Toto Osimo asking in chat, were there any DTs? Not for track limits. There was a DT for an oopsie. Oh, sorry, that was McLaren, wasn't Foster. That was a different McLaren behind Tercalini. So he potentially won't lose any positions, I don't think.
Wouldn't think so. Foster crosses the line. He'll be the last to cross the line.
Yeah, so big enough gap there. And it is wet again.
Yep, as is tradition.
Yep.
Well, we'll get some post-race results for you in overall standings. It was Hignett with the fastest lap and race win from Brad Cook and John McAdam. Silver class, it was Purcell, Smith, and Cercolini. Pro-Am class, it was King, Jusman, and Pascal Armstrong. Then in the Am class, it was Foster, Austin, and Symes, your top three. Awesome. Very entertaining racing there, Paige.
I mean, do we have a vote for driver of the day? I know who I have in mind, but do you have a specific driver in mind?
It's hard to go past McAdam, really. He was very strong racecraft. Like, yeah, he qualified P8, moved up to P3. May not have quite had the pace in the second stint, but really, I thought he was very strong. Once again, there's a few little bumps and nudges here and there, but overall, very strong race from McAdam and came out with a well-deserved podium.
Yeah, he's simply hard to look by, but I'm gonna give it to Graham Hill. I know it's not his best result, but being plumb last and serving a drive-through and still managing to finish P13 is a great result and some proper perseverance shown by Hill as well. So I'll give it to him today. But I think that is going to do it for the Simrigs Sprint Series? The Sprint Series here in Octane Online Racing. That is it for Wednesday night's races. Thursday, tomorrow, there is some more races in Split Blue and Split Red, same time as today, followed by the North American splits, 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on Friday morning, if you want to watch that. And of course, we do have one more round in the Sprint Series remaining next week, which will be at Spa. It will be 90 minutes of the inferior Belgian racetrack.
Yeah, well, thank you for watching tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure, and we will see you all tomorrow night.
Bye.